Hey, it's Kevin with the New Warehouse Podcast, bringing you a new episode today. And on today's episode, I am going to be joined by Joe Biancofiori, who is the president at AMSCO Prep. And we're going to talk a little bit about his journey, how he started AMSCO Prep. And we're also going to talk a little bit about how his business has evolved as he's recently made this transition and started to add D2C distribution and fulfillment into his services, where he's traditionally been focused on FBA prep. And we'll talk a little bit about prep too as well, because there's been some news about that recently, and I'm curious his thoughts on that. But we're going to dive into it today with Joe. And Joe, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Doing great, man. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to get you on. We met earlier this year at the Ship Hero Insider Summit and had a lot of fun talking to you. So
Yeah.
I was looking forward to recording with you today as well, learning a little bit more about your story. So why don't we kind of start there? Why don't you tell us a little bit about kind of what is AMSCO Prep and how did you get started in this business?
Yeah. So AMSCO Prep is it's the third company that I have right now. They're all kind of under one umbrella. We started with AMSCO Distributing, which was back in 2017. What that was just a company I made up that I wanted to work for myself. And I was working in Fortune 500 companies. I was at a telecom company before that for about 10 years, doing various tasks. Lastly, end up in like marketing. And I was like, you know what? I just can't. I can't work for anybody anymore, anybody else. So I needed to start my own company. And during that time, just like side gigs, I would sell stuff on eBay, like most people do, right? Stuff around the house,
Okay.
whatever you want to, whatever you have, just sell stuff on eBay. And there was one guy that I always watched, and he was like, "How to do your eBay listings better," and so forth. One day, I was watching one of his videos, and he's like, "Well, let me show you guys how I sell on Amazon." And I was like, at this time, this is 2017, right? So I'm newer to
Yeah.
this. I'm like, you can sell on Amazon? I'm like, how do you sell on Amazon? So I'm like right there. I'm like bought in. Like we're big Amazon people, right? Like Amazon is,
Yeah.
we've had Prime since like Prime came out, right? I think there's like years where we're like 50 grand or higher of like spending on Amazon.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's ridiculous. Like we buy so
Yeah.
much stuff. It's like, if it's not fresh food, it comes from Amazon. So I watched this guy's video, and then I was like, there's like a whole library. I literally watched about 400 hours of videos
Wow.
about how to like sell on Amazon, how to do e-commerce better and stuff like that. So what I did was I said, you know what? We're going to try this. Instead of just flipping stuff from the house, we're going to follow some people and what they're doing. We're going to start flipping stuff from Walmart. That's all we're going to do. So again, I was working day job telecom. At night on my way home, I'd stop at Walmart's and go to the clearance aisle, use my little scanner app on my Seller Central and scan stuff, and then just start packaging out of my basement and doing FBA. That lasted for about 3 months, and I quit my day job. And yeah, it was a well-paying day job too. So my wife was a little freaked out, and I was like, "Yep." She's like, "What are you gonna do?" Like, "I'm gonna quit my day job, and we're gonna sell stuff on Amazon."
Yeah.
My wife's used to. I mean, she's been with me long enough. She knows that I have crazy ideas, but once I have a crazy idea, I go full force. Like that's just
Yeah.
what it is. I'm gonna do this. But yeah, so basically, what I do is I quit my day job, went from 600 square foot basement to got a warehouse. It was about 1,400 square feet, and hired an employee, a local person from our community here. And I said, I'm gonna go to Walmart. I'm gonna package all this stuff. I'm gonna teach you how to use these softwares that we use, and you're gonna package it all. We're gonna send it off to FBA. She thought I was absolutely insane. Nobody really knew what I was doing at that time. And then that lasted for about, I'd say about 4 or 5 months. And then I started going to conventions for FBA sellers, mainly in Las Vegas, just because I love Vegas. Who doesn't, right? So I started meeting a bunch of FBA sellers they were traveling the country in their vans, and that's basically how they would fund everything, is they would do retail arbitrage. They would package everything in the parking lots. They would ship at a UPS shipping store, and that's how they would fund their life, basically.
Wow.
So making these connections, I'm like, well, why don't you guys just do this? Instead of packaging all of it, why don't you just send it to me? I have a warehouse. I have a loading dock. You can actually order stuff online, send it over to me, and I'll start prepping that stuff for you because I have employees now. Now I overhired employees at that time where I wasn't buying enough inventory. So it was like, hey, I felt bad because I was like, hey, you can't work today. I didn't buy enough inventory. I just got too busy. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to do that, right? Like if I promise somebody a job, and it's the same mentality we have today, 8 years later. If we hire somebody, you're going to have a full-time job. I'm going to pay. Like you're going to get your 40 hours in that I promised you. That's just what it is. That's my responsibility as a business owner. So then everybody that I talked to made these really good connections. They're like, yeah, let's just do that. We'll ship all the product to you. And we can start doing online arbitrage now too and just ship it right to you because we don't have a place to ship it to. So I said, great. So we started doing that. And that became bigger and bigger. And we went from 1,400 square foot. We didn't even finish our 1-year lease. We actually broke our lease or sublet like 6 months later and moved over to a 4,000 square foot unit. And then from there in that building, we had 4,000 plus another 4,000. And then we moved units again in that building to a 6,000 plus a 4,000. And then we went from owning, we bought the 6,000 because it was the only climate controlled unit in that building. So I wanted to, and we're in a growing kind of a rural area, but I knew it was growing. So we kept the 6,000 and then we got a 12,000 on top of it and then spent 3 years there. And now we're in a 18,000 plus another 6.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So what we do is we move a lot. It's unfortunate. My guys have had to put up pallet racking 5 times in 8 years. It's absolutely dreadful. Everybody hates it. But I don't want to ever get myself in that situation where I go and rent a 50,000 square foot warehouse and something happens. You lose 2 clients that can kill you, right? The overhead is massive, right? So we've always been a boutique type of 3PL because of I didn't want to take that risk, but we've always made it work. So 8 years later, now into it. Now, like I said, we own the 6,000, which is pretty much just it's like our offsite, just storage that doesn't get touched for 3-6 months. Containers come in, they get stored there. And then our main operating warehouse, which our floor is 15,000, plus we have a DTC room, break room, stuff like that. It's about 18,000 total. And that's where we do all of our operation now. And we operate probably within, I would say, 1.2, 1.5 million FBA units. That's ASIN units, actually prep, so touches, somewhere in the 2-3 million touches. And then we started looking into D2C about a year ago because I saw the changes that Amazon was doing, right? They were doing increased FBA fees, increased storage fees, right? They were pushing everybody to get away from 3PLs kind of with this, the Amazon warehousing system. Just send us all your inventory. Just all the little changes. And then going to conferences and talking to people and just, I'm in a Facebook group. It's like a, 3PL mastermind. It's like 25, 30 3PLs in there. Just talking to people, I'm like, what are you guys seeing here? And everybody's kind of going back and forth. I'm thinking, DTC is going to start blowing up. People are going to start getting sick of Amazon. And they're going to really want to focus on just their Shopify store, just to recapture that extra 15% of referral fee, right? Because you can make so much more money. I mean, you don't get the volume that you get on Amazon, but you don't need the volume if you're making more money, right? You can kind of lose a little bit of the volume and you still make the same net profit. So I started testing out. We've always been an Amazon seller. This 8 years, we've always had multiple Amazon selling accounts. We've been a distributor for some larger brands. So we've always had accounts to play around with and test our new theories on because we can do it on our own account, right? We could say, hey, let's not do we're not going to go out and roll out DTC to a client and then screw it up. Let's start listing all of our stuff. So we pulled all of our inventory. We let it sell out of FBA and we said, we're not going to list any more FBA inventory pretty much. Once it sells out, that SKU is not going back on FBA. And we're going to do fulfilled by merchant Amazon. We're going to throw that back on. We're going to then throw it on Walmart. We're going to throw it on eBay, whatever platforms we can, just to see the little nuances of every platform, kind of figure out what our process flow is going to be. And then really see, do we need that amount of sales or can we just capitalize on maybe reducing our shipping costs? We don't have to do inbound shipping to Amazon anymore. We don't have to pay their 72 or 73 cents FBA storage fees anymore. Reduce all those costs. Do we really need to sell this much to make the same amount of profit? And we found out we didn't have to. What we had to do was just be more strategic about it. And it actually opened up. There was a lot of products that we wanted to sell, but we didn't want to sell them at FBA because of the storage fees and the inbound processing fee, oversized, heavy stuff, super expensive stuff that I'm not sending Amazon super expensive stuff. I just don't trust them because they lose a lot of even cheap stuff. So I'm like, well, now we have a catalog that we can open up even bigger, sell them fulfilled by merchant, and then we control everything. And it just worked out better for us. So then we said, okay, this is going to work. And I can see why people are looking to do this. Now, my problem as a 3PL is up until March of this year, we never even had a barcode scanner in our warehouse. Like, we didn't use barcode scanning for anything. We literally grew the whole business on Google Sheets and Google Docs.
Wow.
That's the whole business was run off of Google Docs and Google Sheets and Google Chat.
Yeah.
We're a Google company. We're all into it. So we never had to scan barcodes. We did everything manually, and we were still processing a ton of inventory. But I was like, okay, with DTC, it's a little bit different, right? You're going to store more inventory. You have bins, pick bins. You have a lot more process flow. So it's a little bit more complicated. So that's what we started looking into. We're like, okay, we really do need a warehouse management system. Like, we need a WMS if we're gonna do this. So that's when we went down the rabbit hole of WMSs, right? Looked at all the basic ones. We started with VQ because we were using them as a shipping platform. And then they're like, we were at Amazon Accelerate last year. And they're like, yeah, you can use VQ as a WMS and everything else. And I was like, okay. We looked into it. I was like, it's good if you're a single seller selling your own stuff. It's perfectly fine. ShipStation, same kind of thing. You're a single seller selling your own stuff, perfectly fine. We had multiple clients on VQ that we were shipping for. And it's a pain. You got to log out, log in. Go to the next client, log out, log in, check their orders, process their orders, log out, log in. There was no main dashboard basically for all the clients. Yeah. So, so that's when we started looking into like Pacquiao, we started looking into Lajua. And during this time, as we're taking these calls with everybody, we're doing all of our research, the one company that always came up, like I Google a question, how does a 3PL do this? How does a 3PL do that? An article always came up and it was ShipHero. It was always ShipHero. They had so much content out there. It was just, it was just always ShipHero. So I'm like, okay, if I'm getting all my information for the questions that I should ask Lajua and Pacquiao and everything from content from ShipHero, why am I not just going with ShipHero? Because they pretty much gave me everything that I needed, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why in my brain. Like it's a company that I heard before. I mean, I've always heard Lajua, right? Like Lajua is a bigger brand for me. It's just the name of it, and that's why I took those calls. But I just found out for something, their systems seemed like they were built by an engineer. They were not built by somebody that works in a warehouse.
Yeah.
When I went through ShipHero stuff, it was, okay, this was built by somebody that works in a warehouse, right? Or somebody that does fulfillment. It actually makes sense.
Yeah. Which it was. Right?
Which it was, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of got us onto ShipHero. And then with them, with their partnership, that's when we, had great connections and meeting great people like yourself, right? We were able to go out to New York and have those type of events and meet other people and just start doing connections and start really talking to people with the knowledge that we have now of, yes, okay, you do have a DTC brand. Yes, you do need a 3PL or you're looking to switch 3PLs. Here's the software that we use. This is the power behind us. This is what we're capable of doing. And we're still a boutique 3PL where we're not going to take on a client that does 100,000 packages a month. We just can't handle that capacity. But there's a lot of clients out there that are 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 packages a month. They need a 3PL, and there's a lot of 3PLs that just won't even call them back because the volume is too low, right? And I posted about this on LinkedIn. I actually got some really great responses on this. So what we decided was, let's not try to be the big boy. We don't need to be the big boy. There's plenty of big boys out there, right? There's plenty of VC money out there. We don't want to do that. I'm a single owner. I don't want to give up any rev share for my company. I don't need to be a multimillionaire. Great, it would be nice, but I don't need those things in my life.
You wouldn't
right?
deny it.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't turn it down.
Right? Yeah. But if there's any VCs, they want to throw up like $5 million my way, that's totally fine. I wouldn't deny it, but it's not something that I'm chasing after, right? I just want to provide a good service to my clients. I want to give the people that work for me, because they're all local. I mean, everybody lives like 10 minutes from our warehouse, right? I want to give them a solid job where they're not worried about their job. They know they can come into work Monday through Friday. They know they're getting a 40-hour week paycheck, right? That's what I want to provide. So that's why I like retaining 100% control as I make those decisions, and I'm able to determine what clients we bring on, what clients we don't, and so forth. And now that we had DTC, right, we got ShipHero onboarded, and we're like, hey, this flows, everything works. Like, this is where we're gonna start transitioning. We started going out to another conference, a seller summit in Fort Lauderdale, and meeting with brands there. And that was the biggest thing. And this is coming back to that LinkedIn post I made, was everybody that I talked to, I don't go to conferences to pitch my business. That's not what I do. Most guys are like, yeah, we're going to a sales conference. We're gonna go get a bunch of. That's not what I do. My biggest thing is, and anybody at these conferences, is usually, and I think I even asked you the same thing, was just tell me your story. I'm interested in people, right? I want to know, like, how did you get here, right? What brought you here? There was something that happened within the last 2-3 years that drove you to now you're sitting at this conference with me. Let me hear your story. I'll tell you about me later, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I did at the Seller Summit in Fort Lauderdale. When everybody else is pitching, you need a 3PL, you need a 3PL, I can do this. I'm like, yeah, everybody can do that, man. It's just putting stuff in bags. And like, we all do the same stuff, right? Like, everybody knows what a 3PL does.
Yeah.
It's like, my daughter's 13. She's been doing this since she was 5. It's totally cool. Like, it's not hard stuff, man. But what we like to do is get to know our clients and find out. But the biggest thing that we found in all these conversations is 90% of them, man, I'm telling you, like, these are all people that are 5,000-10,000 sales per month. They're like, we cannot get a 3PL to call us back right now.
Wow.
I said, okay, well, you got a lot going on, right? Tariffs, people are flooding the country with inventory right now. So these 3PLs are looking for they're looking for whales, right? But let's hear about your product. Tell me about your story, where you're going, how you evolved, all that kind of stuff. Let's see if we can maybe, if you want to work together, I can tell you what we do. We do the same thing as everybody else does, just on a smaller scale. And then most of them come back to me and they said, yeah, we like your approach on it because we do take on a limited amount of clients, right? We limit our client base, so then that way we always can have a very good customer service rapport with our clients. My clients all have my cell phone number. Like, they call the owner directly. I mean, I don't like to always take every single phone call, but if the phone rings, I'm going to pick it up, right? It should go to my warehouse, but if the client needs me, they can get a hold of me. If I had 300 clients, I couldn't do that, right?
Right.
I would need to build out a whole customer service team. Then you got to worry about cost of that and how do you keep them employed and all that kind of stuff. So speaking with these sellers, that's when that night I posted on LinkedIn. I was like, you know what? Yeah, we're a boutique 3PL and we like being small. It's totally fine. It's okay. Because I do talk to a lot of warehouse guys and they're like, we're moving into 30,000. We're moving into 60,000. We're moving into 100,000. I'm like, do you need to? Like, do you really need to?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to seem bigger than what they actually are, right? Because it just seems like, wow, I only got 15,000 square feet. Man, you could make millions. You could do millions in revenue with 10,
if you
15.
get the right client mix in there, like, you can
exactly
kill it. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to be the big guy. Partner with the big guy. You don't have to be the big guy. And that's what we do, right? So we go to these conferences, get these sellers, say, here's my information. No sales pitch. This is basically what I am. I mean, at that point we had all of our pricing right on our website. Like, here, you check the website. That's what the pricing is. We did find that going further down the rabbit hole with DTC, it is actually a little bit better. We do customize it now. So like, our DTC pricing is off our website. But everybody starts kind of at the bare. We adjust based on what your needs are, right? We want to customize everything. That's why we took it off. It's not to hide anything. We're very transparent. We tell everybody everything in regards to what's going on with our company. And then, going from there, just talking with the clients and getting some traction. We started getting now where I think our first month of DTC was like 130 shipments for the month. Okay. That's like what people do in an hour, right? And then now we're in the 2,000 to 3,000 range, but we signed clients where we're going to be at 40,000 in December for outbound shipments.
Nice.
So it's a pretty quick move. When you give people an opportunity to come work with you, you treat them fair, right? You don't price gouge people. Like, everybody wants to make more money, but I'm not here to price gouge anybody. We're going to make a fair share. We're going to treat you right. It tends to be that word of mouth spreads a lot faster than advertising ever could do. We don't spend, I think in 8 years, we spent $500 on advertising. Besides, like, I think we spend more on t-shirts and stuff like that for our crew than we do in actual ads. Like, 1 year we went crazy and just like bought our clients Yeti cups with our company name engraved. Like, that's our extent of like advertising budget. We don't do that stuff.
Yeah, well, the t-shirt is nice. It's working for me. I like it.
I like the t-shirt. Yeah, this is the new one. So yeah, it used to be all AMSCO. It was AMSCO distributing. And then we decided to spin off a little bit, just kind of like for legal purposes and to separate the companies, right? We have AMSCO distributing, which is more of what I use as that company as my main company to buy from my distributors, because we do brokerage as well for trucks, where the client will buy their inventory from us. They will ship it to us, we will then prep it under AMSCO Prep, and then we will broker all the freight out for them also. So we actually handle their whole line of business.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So, and again, it just comes down to fair pricing, right? We're not trying to be really sticky. And it's kind of the thing. I mean, if you have the whole line of business, you don't have to upcharge somebody 40%, right? You can take 10% from each small portion of it and still make your same revenue as a company. Yes. So we spun off at AMSCO Prep, and then that way we can, if in the future I ever achieve my goal of being able to retire early to Italy, I can, sell off one company and keep one company, by keeping them separate. So we're trying to build out the company's portfolios a little bit separate. And then we have AMSCO Properties also, which owns our warehouse. So we have our property management for our own warehouse as well.
Interesting. Very interesting story there, and definitely really, really great to hear. I think you approach it in a very thoughtful way, right? Which I think is really effective. And so you mentioned in there, a lot of these brands that you talk to, or they're newer, maybe potentially their order volume is lower. So a lot of times, like, they're probably looking for like their first 3PL, I imagine, right?
Yeah.
So what kind of advice would you give brands in that situation where they are looking for their first 3PL?
I would say first, and usually if you're in this business, number one thing I always do is ask colleagues, coworkers, ask anybody, not colleagues or coworkers, but just people that you know in this industry, right? Look on LinkedIn, stuff like that. Don't just Google. When you're Googling for 3PLs, you're going to find the guy with the biggest ad budget. That's what you're going to find. You're going to find the ship bobs.
Yeah.
You're gonna find the guys that are spending $150,000. There's a million 3PLs out there.
Yeah.
There's like I'm going to meet another one that's in St. Charles, Illinois, which is 40 minutes away from me. I had no idea this guy was up even there. He's like, yeah, we've been in business 15 years. I'm like,
yeah.
I've never, and I Google a lot of 3PLs, right? He's like, yeah, we just don't advertise.
Yeah. I just talked to one yesterday, and they're like, oh yeah, we've been around for like 50 years, and I'm like.
Like, never heard of you.
Never heard of you.
Never heard of you.
You.
Have no idea who you are. No clue. They're like, yeah, we have no ad budget. I'm like, well, it works though. Like, save that money, right? So that's the first thing. Is I would always do is, LinkedIn's a great thing. Facebook is still great. Is just finding out, getting referrals over. You got to weed through them, right? Like, I say this on LinkedIn a lot. Like, the sharks are in the water, right? If anybody posts on LinkedIn about, oh, my 3PL was bad, I need to switch it, you're going to have 50 3PLs.
Yeah.
They're going to.
It's like RIP to your comments.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you'll see me on there. It's like, most of the time people always laugh like sharks are in the water. Everybody knows it's me. I'm commenting on there. Like, because you'll never see me pitch somebody like on that, right? I'm like, I'll put sharks in the water. You can see that I'm a 3PL owner. If you want to contact me. I don't need to pitch you, right? But yeah, so I would always go back into, like, just talk to your circle of friends, because business owners know business owners, right? And that's the good thing about being a small business owner. When you get out of that corporate world, you kind of tend to flock where you're, at least in my instance, a lot of my friends are business owners, right? And that's just, they weren't before when I was in corporate. I just never had that circle of friends. So always reach out first even before doing your own research. Just reach out and talk to anybody that you have referrals from, and then I would sit down with those. And then as you're doing your own research, look for ones that are specific for you, right? So again, if you're just going to Google, I would skip the first top 5, because those are the guys with the $100,000 ad budgets. They're most likely going to have 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 revenue minimums every single month. They're going to request a lot more out of you. You're probably going to have higher technology fees, stuff like that, stuff that you don't really need at the beginning, right? I mean, if you're a new brand owner and you've been doing it at your house and now you're just so stressed, you're probably somebody that a 3PL is going to dedicate 3 to 5 hours a week to, because they have a team of people working on your stuff, right?
Yeah.
So if they say, yeah, we're going to work on this project for 3 hours, that's probably 4 or 5 guys doing it. It took you a month to do it. We can knock it out in a day or two, right?
Right.
So you do need to kind of look for those smaller ones, and don't be scared of the guy with, like, the bad website. It doesn't mean anything in this industry. It's like some of my best distributors, like, one guy's got it says copyright like 1998. It's got an AOL email address. And the guy's got some of the best pricing in the industry, right? Yeah. It's like, we just don't focus on it. So yeah, search around I would mainly say is just not trusting Google on it because of the marketing aspect of what people pay for that. I would say make connections in the industry through LinkedIn, make connections through Facebook groups, go to conferences and talk to people, go to other seller conferences and find out who are they using, right? Find other brands that are in the same wheelhouse as you. You talk to brands like, yeah, what are you guys doing for sales per month? We're doing 3,000. Good. I'm doing 2,000, 3,000 a month. Who are you using as a 3PL? Do they treat you right as a smaller 3PL, or do they just put you to the side and you get, their SLA for customer service tickets is 3-4 days because you're a smaller guy, right?
Yeah.
You want to get the same service level as a bigger brand. You have to use a smaller 3PL because they're going to be more dedicated to and I hate the term white glove, but I don't know any other term for it, but it is that you kind of get that white glove treatment from a smaller 3PL because that you're part of their core clientele, right? You're not just a subset where we use you to fill in time when the bigger guy stuff is done.
Yeah.
And that's what we really focus on with ours. Like we max out at I think the max we take at 40 clients, and that's it. And some people are like, yeah, that's ridiculous. That's not enough. I'm like, well, it all depends on your client base, right? I mean, I know 3PL owners where they're like, yeah, my whole 25,000 square foot warehouse is one brand. I'm like, well, that's extremely dangerous.
That is risky. Yeah.
You're gambling. You go to Vegas with me. You're a gambling man. That's cool. Let's do this. But what we don't have our minimum is for FBA prep. It's like we got to at least prep 50 units. Like we got to do something. Like you got to take at least an hour of our time, right?
Yeah.
If not, we'll accumulate it. We'll charge a storage on it, but we'll accumulate it until you get to it. So we don't go for people that are super, super small. And then we don't go for people that are super, super big either. But pretty much anybody that's been selling online within 3 months, you're gonna meet whatever, a 3PL my size, you're gonna meet whatever they're kind of expecting of you. Because we don't have it where we have to have a guaranteed revenue every single month from clients. If you want long-term contracts and better pricing stuff, yeah, you can sign those deals with us. But most clients come in, they'll do say 1,000 to 5,000 FBA units every single month. And then they'll throw in some DTC here and there. And that's perfectly fine for a boutique 3PL. It works within our wheelhouse. It's something that we can handle all the customer service. Whenever you have questions, we can handle it all white glove treatment for you. You're not going to have long SLAs. I get mad at my team. We use Google Chat for most of our clients. If I see a chat on there, because every single one is on my phone, if I see a chat and it hasn't been read or responded to within 40 minutes, I get upset. And I tell my team, I'm like, at least give a thumbs up, give some kind of notification that that you saw it. Yeah, I'm like, just the client's waiting, right? And a lot of people are like, your SLA is way too short. I'm like, it's not an SLA. I'm not going to fix your issue in 30 minutes, but I'm at least going to acknowledge the problem, and say, okay, you have this issue. We will get back to you very shortly, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's one thing to ask in regards to 3PLs. Like, what's your expectations, right? As a brand owner, what do you expect? Because your warehouse, your 3PL should be an extension of your business, right? They shouldn't be just a service provider. They should be, they should be a partner in your business. They should want to help you grow because it makes you more money, but it makes them more money also.
Yeah.
Right. That's the ultimate goal, right? And that's why we work with these brands that are considered emerging brands. We like working with them because we get to see every single step of the process, right? I was never good at creating product. I mean, I've created products. I have a brand on Amazon. It's the dumbest product ever. I was never good at that stuff.
Yeah.
So I love watching people come to me and I'm thinking in my head, man, this is a crazy product. This is never going to sell at all. I got products that some of my clients are like, there's no way that someone's going to buy this. And then I'll service the business, and 6 months later, I'm like, I can't believe you made that much money off of this product.
Oh, wow.
It really shocks me.
Yeah. Interesting.
So I love seeing that as a 3PL owner. You're growing with them, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's
awesome.
Everybody's rising together, right?
Yeah.
I think which is a really, really interesting part about the business there. And we had I wanted to touch on this too, because we had a little comment exchange on LinkedIn about this, about when brands are looking for a 3PL,
Yeah.
and they're gonna do a visit, right?
Mhm.
which I recommend definitely.
Oh,
Not every
100,
brand does a visit,
1,000%.
right? But what would you say from your perspective? Like what should they be looking for?
There's so much, to be honest with you. But the key points is that somebody told me this a long time ago. And I forgot who it was. So if you're listening, I'm sorry. The number one thing you should do, actually, you should do this for any job interview, for anybody that's looking for jobs too. First thing you do as soon as you walk in the building, you greet everybody, go to ask to use their washroom
Yeah.
and see if it's clean. Because if their bathroom's clean, it's going to be a clean organization also, because the only place that's private where people can actually be 100% truly themselves is in the bathroom, because everything else is cameras, right? We got cameras all over our warehouse. As soon as you step in our parking lot, you're under surveillance. That's just what it is, right? But nobody's got cameras in the bathroom, hopefully, right? That will tell you the type, that will tell
And
you,
if they do have cameras in the bathroom, then that also gives you your
that
answer.
also
right?
gives
Yeah.
you, then you should definitely walk out. But that will tell you right there, like, number one, are the employees proud to work there, right? Number one, are the employees clean? Is everything in order in the restroom area? If it is, most likely your warehouse is going to be impeccable, or at least somewhat in order, at least presentable, even when clients are not walking through, right?
Yeah.
So what I would always say is, when you first do it, after you go visit the bathroom, right? Because that's just always my first check for people, and I do it to almost every 3PL now that I can. So everybody else that I visited your warehouse, I went to go check your bathrooms out.
I was on notice now.
And actually, I will tell you, usually if the bathroom is not in good order, when I walk through the warehouse is not in good order also.
Yeah.
Because it's the same people, right? It's the same people using both facilities. So what I would suggest is, number one, yes, you should always do a 3PL visit if you can. Again, emerging brands, a lot of people don't have the budget to do it. You need to travel. It is expensive. I understand. It's totally understandable. We'll do virtual visits through like FaceTime if you want to. Double check, check and see. Number one, just listen to things as you're having conversations. Listen around the warehouse, right? Listen for camaraderie, commotion. Make sure the team works well together is one thing. You don't want to have anybody, bickering, stuff like that. It's, it's going to happen in a warehouse, but you want to see if there's camaraderie around the warehouse. See if everybody actually works well as a team. Typically, the teams that work well together, everything flows a little bit better. We had that instance when I first started. We went through a bunch. You don't even know how many tax forms we sent out the first couple of years, because we didn't have people that worked well together, and the process flow didn't work well together. Now that we have the stable team and we've got an average tenure of like 4 years, 3.5, 4 years, the process, everything flows better because everybody's got the camaraderie. They're not just there to work. They're becoming friends, and they rag on each other or stuff like that. You want to kind of see that, where the workers are not just like robots. I don't like seeing people. It's great for production for a lot of things, but I think it's just kind of drone. When everybody's just acting like a drone, I just feel like, I don't know, like, are these people going to be switching around? Like, what's your turnaround, for employees, right? That's what I would ask. One thing, what's your average tenure for your employees here? Because, for FBA prep, there's a lot of rules for FBA, right? And my product might be specific. Are you going to make sure that these employees, who they've been here long enough, they know how Amazon's ever-changing rules. They know what to kind of look out for, right? They know, okay, well, Amazon doesn't like this. Amazon doesn't like this. Even though it's okay, the client said to do it, Amazon doesn't like it. I want someone to kind of tell me about those things. If I'm going to be a brand over, handing over all my control over to a 3PL, I want someone that's going to tell me, hey, you made a mistake. You can't do it this way. Amazon wants it done this way. You got to follow terms of service, and do the employees know that, so they'll catch those problems? They don't have to wait for like a supervisor to do it. They just want the regular employees should kind of know. All my employees know. My tenure employees, they all know Amazon's terms of service like nothing. They can all go sell on Amazon and do it all because they're just used to it, right? So I would say camaraderie is a big one. Checking out the facilities, right? Check and see how organized everything is. Is it all neat? Is you see stuff is just loose? Is your products just loose everywhere? We palletize everything on the racking. We don't have loose boxes. If there's boxes that are open on pallet racking, we make sure that the boxes are actually closed. Even if you're picking from them, close the boxes, because you don't want dust and stuff to get in there, right? Warehouses are dirty. No matter how clean your warehouse is, warehouses are dirty. And you don't want your product sitting there in an open box. And then when they go to pick it, they slap a label on it, they ship it out to a customer, and now it's got dust and stuff all over it, right?
Yeah.
Is it a semi-clean facility, right? No warehouse is going to be 100% perfect, but is it a semi-clean facility? You want to make sure that there is a team lead that's always on the floor, right? You want to make sure there's somebody that's overseeing them, and they're not sitting in an office somewhere. They actually have a bullpen by like their prep stations, by their prep desks, right? I always like to see, we have a bullpen where it's our prep tables in the middle of our warehouse, and we have 3 different team leads or managers that sit in that area. And because we want to make sure that they always have constant communication with the team, they can overhear the team as they're working too. So if one team member is talking to another one about an issue, the manager can just pop up and say, hey, what's going on, right? We don't want them off in a warehouse. We tried that one time before where we had our ops manager was in an office inside our office, and it just doesn't work. You need to be on the floor. You have to be on the floor. If it's 95 degrees in a warehouse, sorry, you're sitting at a desk, put a fan on you. You have to be on the floor because you're managing that team, and they have to know they're not going to come and look for you if there's an issue. They want to be able to turn around and do it and just be there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So take a look at their technology too. Like, what are they using in regards to technology, in regards to their WMS, barcode scanning, that kind of stuff. Just see, that. Take a look and see what their backup systems are. Ask them and say, hey, this is the e-commerce. If your internet shuts down, if you've got, we're out here, we've got Comcast. If Comcast fiber cuts out for a day, what do you guys have as a backup? Do you have mobile hotspots as backups? Which we use like a T-Mobile at home router as a backup. We use a T-Mobile mobile hotspots as backup. Now, it's not the best thing, and yeah, it's going to hinder performance in regards to what we do, but will we still be able to close out shipments, get them out? Yes, we can. We're not going to shut down. We've never shut down in 8 years. We haven't shut down for a single day. Not during COVID, during nothing, right? Nothing's going to stop us. Same with like backup, you have a backup generator to run things, even if it's just a small one, just so you can get power to certain things to process. Because what's to say that the day after Black Friday, your electricity goes out, or there's a storm and your internet goes out? What are you going to do? I have to get my packages shipped.
You're right.
So a little backup generator can go a long way, right? A little hotspot can get the job done. It's not ideal, but it can get the job done. So just make sure they have those, like, everything in place that you would really want to have if you were running your own warehouse, and look around and think about it as you're walking around the facilities. Just ask questions. Be like, why do you do things this way? You might learn something about their processes, right? You might think, mostly guys that, we've got guys that have run their own warehouses, and then they come over to us and like, well, we didn't do it that way. I said, well, that's why you gave us your warehouse, because we're just a little bit better than what you were doing, right? But ask us the questions and I'll explain why, because there's always a reason behind our madness on certain things. It's not that we implement protocols and SOPs because it's just something we thought of today. It's because over the years we found, based on other clients with the same type of product profiles, this is the why we process your inventory this way. And this is why I always work. But we're always open to it. We've had clients come in too, and they're like, "Would you ever think about doing this?" I said, "No, I actually never did, but now I will." And I'll bring that up in one of my team meetings and say, "Hey guys, why don't we try this? And let's just try it for a week and see if it works. And if it works, fantastic. If it doesn't, no big deal. It's just a week. But let's see, because you never stop learning in this business." And that 100%. That kind of goes back to why I do a lot of the visits, and because there's just certain things I'll just look. I'm like, God, why aren't we doing that? Just simple things like, why don't we have a station for all of our brooms that's on casters that you can roll it all around to different parts of the warehouse?
Those are beautiful.
Yeah, like, why don't we do that stuff? I don't understand, right? And then have 5 of those stations, so your team's not like walking around looking for a broom, right? It's all about efficiencies, right? Yeah. So yeah, I definitely suggest that everybody go into a 3PL if it's within the budget. Spend time with them. Don't spend an hour there. Spend 4 hours there. Spend 5 hours there. Walk around. Bring your laptop. Knock out some work and just listen. If they allow you to do it, we'll set up a little desk for people if they need to. Here, you want to work, and you can just watch how the operation goes. There's nothing. We're not changing anything. My warehouse and my team knows that if I walk in here, you're off at 4:30 when you guys set the alarm. If I want to bring a client here at 7 p.m., it should be in tip-top shape. What if I bring a client in on Saturday or Sunday? Like, I'm not going to sit here and clean beforehand. I want this to be clean, like every single time that somebody walks in here. And if you have a team that gets kind of into that repetition like that, even if you allow your clients to sit with you for 3-4 hours, there should be nothing to be worried about. You're just running your operation. right? It just should all just flow. And you'll be able to tell too. You'll be able to tell as a client. Like you can sit in a warehouse and you can kind of see if people are faking stuff. It's like being a business owner. You can tell if like that employee's like, dude, you're not really working. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like you're not fooling anybody. You
Yeah.
know, you just have the kind of like that gut instinct of like, man, this looks like they're really faking it for me.
Yeah.
Or this is just an extremely, extremely big operation, extremely good operation that everything is flawless. But warehouses make mistakes, things happen. Expect to see those things, but don't take it as a negative. It's just part of operational process. Like in a warehouse, things happen. Sometimes things can get dirty, but it gets cleaned up. And there's things that can get misplaced, but then it gets put into the correct position. Not everything's going to be perfect 100% of the time. So keep that as an open mind when you walk into these warehouses. But the biggest thing I would say is, cleanliness, camaraderie, and how is the team working with each other, looking at their basic protocols and just asking them like, hey, just give me a rundown of the day. I'm here as a DTC client. Are you guys prioritizing certain clients? Do you not prioritize certain clients? How are you hitting the SLAs that you promised me? If I have a huge influx of 5,000 extra orders tomorrow, do you have DTC packing stations ready to bring on extra people, right? And just kind of give them those instances and just see how they react, right? Just have a conversation with.
Absolutely. And definitely great advice there. And I think really good points on what to look for and also what to think about too, and ask from like a contingency risk perspective, which I think is really smart. So it's been really great to talk to you here today, Joe, and get you on the podcast and learn about AMSCO Prep and all the different insights that you brought here as well. If people are interested in learning more about AMSCO Prep or getting in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
It's just AMSCOprep.com. We've got all of our socials are going to be AMSCO Prep as well. You send an email to us. It's support@AMSCO Prep. Everything's going to come to me. So if you want to talk to somebody, you're going to talk to the owner directly. I'm going to be your first line of contact within my company.
Awesome. There you go. He's the guy.
I'm the guy.
Definitely. So we'll put all that information at thenewwarehouse.com and in the show notes so people can easily find it. So Joe, thank you once again for joining me on the show today.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning into today's video here on our YouTube channel, The New Warehouse Podcast, and I appreciate you tuning in. If you liked what you saw, make sure you subscribe to our channel, and if you like this video in particular, make sure you like it as well. And if you want to get this great t-shirt that you see in the video behind me, Warehouses Are Sexy, head to warehousesAreSexy.com and get your own.